But Siana knew that even though they were constantly rejected, they just needed to evoke one small whim so the plan could start. Despite sending multiple letters, the Empress Dowager kept throwing away their letters. But she finally caved and took it. She smells the peaky scent of the letter, which gives it an innocent feel. By the way, if you haven't watched the previous episodes yet, please be sure to catch up on those first. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. The writing included elegant phrases just for one person who sharpened herself like a sword. The Empress Dowager remarks that Eris isn't that stupid after all. She had even written a poem by the Empire's greatest poet. Labrum, since the Empress Dowager considered it dignified to quote a poem. The Empress Dowager asks a maid who was stationed at the Ruby Palace before about the princess's appearance. Soon enough, Eris gets a letter from the Empress Dowager. She rushes to Siana to give the good news of the old lady's invitation to the palace. Eris reaches the Empress Dowager's palace with Siana and greets her respectfully. Siana is surprised to see the once complaining girl fully activated into the awesome princess role. As they walk in, Eris reveals how she prepared a small gift for Her Majesty, wanting to repay her for the invitation. She shows her the tea leaves made from acacia flowers, mentioning how she heard Her Majesty likes flowers and tea, so she tried making it herself. Making adorable eyes at her, Eris asks if she would please accept it. The Empress Dowager realizes the maid was right. She had told her how Princess Eris's eyes were just like those of the princess, who also happened to be the same age as her. The Empress Dowager accepts her gift and suggests they have a cup of tea with it. Upon sipping it, the Empress Dowager compliments it for being good. Eris smiles and thanks her. With that, the conversation that followed was just like those in the letters they shared. Complaints about their past glory and responses that praised them. It's ridiculously meaningless on the inside, but dazzlingly extravagant on the outside. A teacup being put down without a sound, a spoon for stirring tea, and the corners of one's mouth that are thinly closed when one drinks. All court etiquette was perfect. Even covering one's mouth when speaking and laughing, reciting poetry in a soft voice, and maintaining an elegant posture. All of those rules are for this day for this opponent. Eris praises the flowers in the gardens, and the Empress Dowager asks her to tell her if there are any flowers she's curious about. Eris turns excited and expresses her happiness. The Empress Dowager smiles and realizes that she's truly a beautiful child. A while later, the Empress Dowager points out how time has flown and that it's time to leave now. Eris apologizes for taking up a lot of Her Majesty's time and thanks her. The Empress Dowager recalls how her daughter used to smile kindly without even expressing regret. Her sad, young daughter. The Empress Dowager reaches out for Eris, pointing out softly how she looks just like her. Later, Eris ponders over her meeting with the Dowager. When Siana asks what she's thinking, Eris says she is just surprised. She thought they had neither blood nor tears, but that wasn't it. This is the first time Siana has seen the princess act this way in the time she has known her. She would usually act like a cheerful child, to the point that her facial muscles ached. But there is a bigger problem here. That is guilt. This cannot continue if the lady's heart hurts. Siana asks if she feels she's tricking the Empress, but Eris says that isn't the matter. She explains how the Empress Dowager, throughout the whole time they were together, never once asked about her. She was sure the Dowager would ask questions about an abandoned princess without a mother. But all she took notice of was how pretty and mannered she was in etiquette. This made Eris realize how important it was that she looked like her daughter. And if the Empress Dowager knew the real her, she would have never smiled at her like that. So, Eris says there's only one emotion she feels towards the hag. She throws a cushion on the floor, cursing the hag. She then asks Siana if she did well today. Siana smiles and says she did the absolute best. Siana knows it's a far too cruel plan. Here, one has to yearn for a place to belong and may end up losing themselves. But they have no choice. That night, the prince visits Siana. Siana thanked Prince Rashid for helping her, as it was only because of him that they were able to be successful today. Rashid remarks that her touch was so sincere that he couldn't refuse. It turns out that Siana had asked him for information on the Empress's deceased daughter. She found the Empress's loving memories in pieces of the dead princess, the smell of black locusts she liked, the color of the dresses she liked, a verse of the poem she liked, and tea time that the daughter loved. Allowing all these aspects to seep into her subconscious was enough to bring in the Empress's remorse, and like that, she fell helplessly for the fake daughter in the name of love. Siana asks how she should repay him, to which Rashid asks her to tell him how she thought to choose the Empress out of all the people in the palace. He assures her he's not going to scold her and is purely curious. Siana confesses that when she was a powerless princess wondering how to survive, it was a plan she made during that time. She thought about all the circumstances and tried to gain support. She started collecting information about the imperial family when she found that the Empress had a deceased daughter. And so she made this plan. She says it's nonsense when she thinks about it now, as she had no way to meet the Empress of this faraway empire, and wasn't fit for the role either. But thanks to His Highness, she arrived at the empire. Plus, Princess Eris could use her plan instead. Rashid asks if she resents him, but Siana denies it. She reveals how they were abusing her, and she wonders how she could escape from them. Rather than being sad, she confesses how she's happy right now. Rashid stares at her. He knows that to say this to the person who killed their family, a normal person wouldn't dare say they are okay. Especially with such a cute expression like that. It seems Siana has a cruel side to her. Now that the first part of the plan has worked, Siana and Eris have carried out the next part immediately. Yvette is surprised to receive an invitation from Eris for a tea party and wonders if she's gone insane. And thus, this chapter draws to a close. Stay tuned to discover what unfolds next in the story. In the meantime, why not explore my other videos? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more captivating stories. Your support means the world to me.